I'm going to use the example of cheese and butter to explain phylogenetic trees. The way the cheeses are organized are based off their characteristics and how they taste. Before we can go over this tree, we have to go over some terminology. OTUs, or operational taxonomic units, is an operational unit used to determine how closely groups are related to an individual. So the longer these bars are, or the shorter these bars are, means there's a smaller OTU between provolone and feta and for a common ancestor than Parmesan and Parmigiano Reggiano. So these OTUs will give time to when was the last common ancestor before the divergence, and these common ancestors are found here at nodes. When a species splits from a common ancestor and forms a new species, that is called cladogenesis. Take, for example, provolone and feta cheese. They split from this common ancestor to form provolone and feta cheese. Anagenesis is the development of a species over time without the divergence. Say, for example, goat cheese. Goat cheese, when it was first created, probably is not the same goat cheese you would have today. This type of phylogenetic tree is known as a rooted phylogenetic tree. Rooted phylogenetic trees mean that the OTU distances are known so that you can find out the order of divergence from the OTUs. Lastly, there's something called an outgroup. So butter, in this example, is the outgroup because it has a common ancestor that is much older than all the other common ancestors in this tree. Now let's explain this tree. So first we have a divergence and we get goat cheese. And we also get another branch that diverged as well, and we get this other type of goat cheese that has maggots in it called Casu Marzu. The branch also branches off again and we get mozzarella, and that rounds off the wet cheese portion. So after the divergence here, we start getting into the drier cheeses. So when we diverge here, we get two different types of cheeses. We have another divergence here that causes it to have feta and provolone. Two salty cheeses, but they serve slightly different purposes. Provolone's more for sandwiches, and this one is more, feta is more for salads. The divergence here is when we start getting into more of the classy cheeses. So we have brie, it's a soft cheese. But at the final divergence here, we get two different types of Parmesan, Parmigiano Reggiano and regular Parmesan. Parmigiano Reggiano is just an expensive, authentic type of Parmesan, while this Parmesan is more of just the normal, cheap kind of Parmesan.